Marsha.
Hi,
We'll work through all of our technical challenges. I apologize.
don't you dare apologize. You know, that's what we do, right? We go through it. And it's not even being apologetic, it's just getting through it, right? So we can go
I know.
and move it. But and congratulations, because last year you received an award right here for diversity leadership in government. So we're really proud of you, and I'm honored to be able to interview you. This is amazing. So let's talk about what inspired you to get into a STEM career.
Oh my goodness. It's, so first take a little bit of step back. I work for the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration for NOAA, which is a federal agency for the Office of Ocean Exploration and Research. And I have an office at the University of Rhode Island Graduate School of Oceanography, which I love. URI is my home. I have 4 degrees from URI. It is a special, special place. So how I got into STEM is a very convoluted story.
That's all right.
I did not have a direct path to the field of ocean sciences at all. I grew up in a very traditional Cuban family of little means, and I was pulled out a lot from school as a child because I grew up living mostly with my grandparents who were from Cuba. And they didn't believe that girls needed an education. And my job was really to stay home and take care of my sick grandmother and to work for the family in other ways. So I didn't go to school a lot, but thankfully I lived in a very diverse community. It was a lot of my friends were African American, and I got to see how those girls were supported in their homes to go to school. And there was expectations of them to do more with their lives, So I got to see that there was more out there, and I left home at the age of 16, and I've been completely self-supporting since then. And I started a very long journey to get the education of my choosing. And during that time, I lived in Rhode Island, the ocean state, right? And I started exploring the ocean, and I just fell in love with all of the weird and wonderful creatures that lived because of that amazing, massive water body. And so by the time I could go to college, which I was much older by the time I was able to enter university full time, I was determined to study what I really wanted to know. And I didn't really think about the practical application for what I was studying at that time. I had no idea that I was on a path to becoming a scientist. I just knew I wanted to know as much as I could about the ocean.
So this is really interesting. So just bear with me, okay? Because my mind does that. So normal people would see the ocean and say, oh, let me go lay out and look at the sun and get a suntan. But no, not Catalina. She said, I want to know about all the little amoebas in the water and all the little fish and what the coral is. That's a different kind of mind, Catalina. I love it, though. I love it. You're so inquisitive, right?
Well, first, to make things clear, I love laying on the beach, too.
After you've already dug through all the
sand. Yeah. Look, I was always that weird kid who would be, playing in puddles, and I wanted to know what lived at the bottom of water bodies.
I love it.
Ponds and lakes and puddles and streams. My brother was really my inspiration, Jose. He learned how to scuba dive very young, and I was terrified at first. And I would get into a float or wait on the dock, and he would dive down and come up and show me things and tell me what was down there. He was really my inspiration, my little brother, Jose.
I love it.
So he got me to be less afraid and to really start putting on a mask and a snorkel and get comfortable in the water. And he really got me to start exploring the coastline and understand that there's so much more to see, and you don't have to be afraid. Once you're part of the environment, when you have a tank on your back and a regulator in your mouth, you're part of the environment, right? You can just stay there and experience it. And so I learned how to scuba dive, and I just fell in love. So I always wanted to be under the waves. you know, my friends would surf or whatever, and I'm like, oh no, I gotta go down there. I want to see what's down there. And so working for an Office of Ocean Exploration and Research was a perfect match for me because, you know, we get to bring these deep sea remotely operated vehicles down to the bottom of the ocean, 6,000 meters down there.
Wow.
And we use technology like satellites and high bandwidth internet to send images of what's down there to shore in real time. It is magical, magical.
So you hung out with Jose, right?
Yeah, my cool bro.
Yeah, right. Your partner in crime. And so you're down there, and there had to be a switch somewhere, right? A switch to say, okay, I'm going to go to college, but I need to figure out how to deal with the water. What was it that you were thinking that got you actually on this path to become a scientist, and you got all these degrees? I mean, something had to, yeah, I'm really proud. You make me excited, right?
Oh, thank you so much, Marsha.
No, this is real, girl. I'm not just playing with you. This is exciting because too often we don't even deal with what is our passion? Do I have a passion? What am I passionate about? We don't do that, and we don't investigate, and you did.
Yeah.
You made a life decision that I'm changing this and I'm going for it. And oh my goodness, look at this. And I love it. Right?
It was a long road. It was a very long road. I mean, I was 30 before I got an undergraduate degree and went to graduate school. And really, I was chipping away at it, taking one class a semester for a very long time while I worked in direct human service related jobs. Okay. So, and the people that I was surrounded by, these incredibly supportive champions of me, you know, they elevated me in ways that they saw things in me that I didn't see in myself. And I learned so much from them. I helped start an alternative middle school for potential dropout kids who were just like me in the communities where I grew up. And being surrounded, that school is called UCAP in Providence, and it is a magical place where kids who don't really know that they have any future, who limit their vision of who they can become, they go to this school and they get elevated in ways and in spaces and places that, you know, you may not otherwise, because all those doors are not really open to us. And we don't see ourselves in these fields. You know, representation matters, as you know, Marsha. And, you know, not having seen Latinas or even, you know, people of color doing the ocean science was really a barrier to my mindset. It was hard for me to envision myself in a space, in a place where I don't see others like me who come from backgrounds like me doing it, right? So while I was working at that school, I continued to take one class a semester, and those kids, you know, lifted me up. I lifted them up. And really, it was probably that kind of encouragement that we gave each other that helped me find my way to the University of Rhode Island. I never believed I would be able to attend a university like that. And I feel so thankful. I love URI.
Well, you know, I think too that as we look at all of the things that we have to go through, I'm getting some feedback here.
That's better. It seems like the echo's gone now.
Okay, let me just, okay. I think that what really occurs sometimes that, you know, you were fortunate to find a support system, right? And with the people that were in your classes and some of the people in your community. And we don't always have that support system that can talk about the passion of wanting to get on the floor of the ocean. Conversation, right?
No, and I'll tell you,
that's a different strata.
It is.
That you were able to dream. What would you say to those young people who don't really see themselves in certain places?
Absolutely.
They don't have those dreams.
Look, you know, the one thing I will say is, of all the degrees I have or whatever, the most important skill I've learned is collecting my people. You know, the spaces and places that you might want to enter,
Right.
there might not be a professional network for you built in if you're one of the onlys, right? So you have to create your own. And we're out here. So you have to collect your people as you go through life, and you learn from them. And the kinds of people that I collect are those who champion others.
Yes.
And you learn from them. You learn how to lift others up as you're moving through your journey. You always make sure that you're lifting others as you climb. And that to me is the recipe for success, is surrounding yourself with the right people who are going to champion you, who are going to share the unwritten rules with you, who are going to help you build a professional network, a network of support to help you build resilience in any space and place you want to be. Never limit your vision of who you can become or where you belong based on what you see around you today, because, you know, we know that America is changing. You know, we're becoming more and more diverse, and it is these underrepresented, amazing humans who are growing, you know, this population in this country. And at some point, we have to help these young people navigate the spaces and places where they can become leaders, right? Where they can have influence and power to shift the dynamic in these places, so that that support network is there for us when we show up.
And we have to show up. And you just touched on something that was sitting in my head, because this is like a huge piece for me: leadership. And women of color don't always take the leadership, because sometimes we're just glad to be there, right?
Oh yeah, so grateful.
Right? Right? And pushing that envelope, that pushing up, going up that ladder, trying to get to that next rung, takes a lot, right?
It does.
It takes a lot. And so how do you navigate some of that discomfort?
Oh, look, it doesn't go away. First of all, we have to learn to self-advocate, and that's really an uncomfortable space for us, because being humble is a characteristic that we value.
Yes.
And let me just tell you, the dominant culture may not value that. They may even see it as weakness. So we are not offered positions of leadership. We are often bypassed for those opportunities. So we have to create them for ourselves and lift each other up. We have to champion each other, write each other up for these awards. I'm so thankful to Women of Color in STEM for this award last year. It was such an amazing experience.
Yeah.
And so we have to try to find a way, build the skill of self-advocacy, and partner up with others, champion each other, elevate the voices of our brothers and sisters, amplify their voices, because, you know, again, often our champions may not exist in our professional sphere, in our very close orbit. So we sometimes have to find them in other spaces. Join your affinity groups in your workplace. That is an amazing place to build community, to find champions and to champion others, to learn all of those, you know, opportunities that may not readily come to you, the unwritten rules that we may not learn, to build a professional network of people that you can trust. You know, we can't have these conversations just anywhere, right?
That's right. That's right. Because you don't know what you have to, it has to be a safe space.
It has to be a safe space, and we have to create that for each other.
It has to be a space. So when you think about diversity and women moving and all of the things that we have to go through, what would be 3 things, I call them nuggets, 3 nuggets that you kind of live by from a career standpoint, and how, from whatever perspective you would like, just 3 nuggets.
3 nuggets.
3 nuggets.
My first nugget is always collect your people. You know, no matter what, I'm a professional people collector. So collect your people, be intentional about that, because you also have to learn how to let people go if they're holding you down, right? That's a skill you have to hone.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Collect your people and always be intentional about championing others as well. So those are two nuggets are collect your people, champion others. And my third, never limit your vision of who you can become based on what you see around you today, based on your circumstances, based on how others perceive you, right? Mm-hmm. You have to carve your journey based on who you are.
Yes.
And not, let where you started or, particular challenges that you might face define where you end up.
Those are powerful nuggets. I might take a couple from you, use it somewhere, right? I like to learn from others. I am a professional student of life.
Me too.
Right?
Yeah.
So now, are you all hiring? Are we going to be able to put some people to work up there? Or what are we doing?
Yeah. If you go to USA Jobs, NOAA, like all federal agencies, it's not that easy to figure out how to find the jobs. There is nothing simple about the federal government, right? But USA Jobs is where all of the positions get posted.
Okay.
But we also have a lot of opportunities for students and early career professionals in a variety of spaces of your academic journey. So whether you're high school, undergraduate, graduate student, postdoc, or early career, go to the NOAA.gov website or Google NOAA, NOAA, Office of Education, and they have the Office of Education within NOAA has a link where you can see all of the different opportunities. I believe you can search them by, undergraduate, graduate, postdoc, high school, things like that. There's different filters. And there are so many gateway opportunities into a place like NOAA, into federal government. Look for the internships, the fellowships, the scholarships. Those help you start to build your professional networks. They're gateways to opportunities like no other. They allow you to experience the sort of organizational culture of an employment agency or some kind of government institution.
Right.
To see if that fits for you or not. It helps you build your resume, you build life skills, but more than anything, you start to become part of a network where you might learn about additional opportunities, right? It could be a bridge to employment. I personally started my journey with NOAA 18 years ago as a John Knaus, Knauss, for those who want to Google it, Marine Policy Fellow. And that was within NOAA, the Sea Grant Office. And I was very fortunate to be selected. And I was hired after my 1-year fellowship. They are gateways to opportunities like no other. So
I love it.
Apply for your internships, fellowships, and scholarships, but get help so that you receive guidance on how to build the most competitive application package. You have to seek guidance. They're very competitive. There are lots of barriers to entry for groups who are not part of the dominant culture, and I work on that quite a bit. I work internally on process and procedure, flagging, looking and identifying barriers to entry and mitigating those challenges so that we can break down the barriers.
Well, women of color needs to stay close to you.
Yes.
So, yes, because I'm loving this whole package development. Because there are several organizations that have fellowships, and a lot of us don't know about fellowships. We know about scholarships, right? But not about those fellowships. And they can be paid fellowships where you can learn and earn at the same time, right?
Absolutely. And all those that I just mentioned, they're all paid fellowships. So
I love it.
We have the Nancy Foster Fellowship is for graduate students. And the Educational Partnership Program within NOAA has amazing opportunities for undergraduates and graduates. Holling Scholarship Program, undergraduates. There's so many. The Knaus Fellowship is when you're in graduate school, but there's so many that I can't even think of right now. We also have opportunities to go to sea on ships.
Wow.
So, there's a lot of opportunity out there. They're all paid with NOAA. So, look for those opportunities. Know that you need to get help to develop competitive applications. Building relationships with your professors matters because you're going to need really strong letters of recommendation. There are all these different ways that students receive guidance on how to make sure that they're competitive to apply for these things that a lot of students of color don't experience when they get to college. Right. So those are enormous gaps that we need to help bridge for students. And I mentor quite a bit because of that.
Well, I think that we have a college program and we have a pre-college program. I think that we need to circle back later.
Absolutely.
And have this conversation on a scale with the rest of the team, because Absolutely. I think these are really, my takeaway is that right there for kids, right? The give back. You got to give back. We've got to grow our own, right? Mm-hmm. And how do we do that? And how do we help develop them? And we can't do it by ourselves. Somebody had to help us all to get to where we are. No,
that is right. None of us got to where we are on our own. That is for sure.
That's exactly right. Well, thank you so much. I know you have a busy day, Catalina Martinez. This has been delightful.
Thank you so much, Marsha. Thank you for all you're doing.
I am so proud of you. I am so proud of you. And I just love your spirit. I just love your spirit and what you have accomplished, girl. God has been good to you.
Yeah, I'm so fortunate.
Mm-hmm. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Marsha. Thank you. All the best.
Okay, the best to you. Catalina Martinez with NOAA. Oh my gosh, that was a powerful story. Leaving home at 16, and now she's got all these degrees and ready to, she's old enough to retire pretty soon, and she's still giving back. And that's what we all have to do. Leadership is about what all you give to others. And she's a good leader. And also a former winner of the Women of Color Technology Awards. Thank you very much. We will be back around 5:30 to interview students. But in the meantime, I think that our team has something else for you to see. This is Marsha Jew signing off for Women of Color TV, and we will be back shortly.